Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Right Swipe. Today, we do not have Olivia in the studio. She is pretty busy this week. So right now today, all we have is myself and Josh Dean. Josh, how you doing today?
It's Sunday.
Yeah, it's Sunday. Josh and I actually just got back from a little vacation with each other. We went up to my family's lake house, and it was one of our coworkers, myself, a friend of mine, Josh, and my parents joined us as well.
Strange weekend, but a lot of fun.
Oh my God! First, we got to tell the story about my friend, right?
Well, there's a few things that happened.
First off, we drank like fish.
Well,
honestly,
that's every weekend, but
yeah. We could give an Olympic beer drinking team a run for their money. That was honestly insane how much beer we went through. I can't believe we had to go into town to get more.
Yeah.
That was just crazy. And on top of that, we're drinking again today. It just doesn't stop.
Thus is life. But don't take any lessons from us.
Yeah, exactly.
Drinking
We're definitely
bad.
We are not the ideal situation. But no, the story I'm talking about with my friend is it was actually last night, and we all just got done playing poker with each other.
On top of this gratuitous amount of drinking for 2 days.
Oh yeah, and we started early, and by early I mean we woke up.
Yeah, I mean I started drinking at like 8:30 a.m. After
Yeah,
falling to sleep at
my
5
dad
a.m.
looked
the
at you.
previous night.
My dad looked at you and was like, "You're gonna start drinking this early?" I was like, "Yeah, it's just kind of used to it."
Yeah, that's life. So yeah,
But-
poker game like midnight-ish.
Yeah, it ended around midnight because it was getting pretty late, and we already had some people dropping out, and I thought I was just gonna be laying down for a couple minutes.
Which I knew you were just gonna pass out. The whole day of drinking, like, oh, I'm gonna lay down at midnight.
Oh yeah,
That'll
and
be
I was
fun.
sore from wakeboarding and skiing and
Yeah.
all that stuff too. So I didn't think I would be out that quick, but I was.
But yeah, you passed out, and
Then
the three of us
Yeah.
drank till. See, I was up till like 2, and I was like, all right. I'm
Yeah, and then
fucking
our
gonna crash.
coworker went to bed shortly after, like 30 minutes after that, from what he said.
Yeah, from what he said.
So then,
But when I went to bed, our friend that we're telling the story about, he was real drunk. He was stumbling everywhere, but
Yeah.
still like.
and he's a big
coherent.
guy.
He's a pretty big guy.
He carries some weight around with him when he walks.
When he stumbles, I'm sorry. You would swear you hear fee, fi, fo, fum echoing throughout the place.
So I didn't get to hear this until I woke up, but apparently,
This story is a second party story because we were not present for the situation. But
yeah. So what happened was it was raining, and I guess he went outside to get a spare change of clothes or something, and then he comes back upstairs, then goes downstairs and takes off his pants at one point, underwear included.
So, yes, but well, let's put it this way: there was a lot of noise being made,
Yeah.
and your mother was the first one to wake up to this at like
Yeah. And so
4:35 a.m.
So she wakes up to this grown-ass man wearing only a T-shirt and nothing else, just facing away from her, nose to the wall where, like, the washing machine is. And she goes, "Honey, are you okay? The bathroom's around the corner if you're trying to get there." And he goes, "Okay." And that was it. And then my mom woke up my dad and said, You're dealing with this. I'm not dealing with it." And he goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" So then he goes out there, like he almost tripped over his soaking wet pants, and he's lifting up this, I shit you not, 350-pound piece of furniture and trying to take it upstairs. And my dad goes, "What you doing, buddy?" And he goes, I'm just going to take this upstairs real quick." And my dad just goes, "Yeah, how about we don't? How about you get to bed instead?" And he goes, all right, that's fine." And then he turns around, and then my dad realizes he's butt-ass naked because his junk's just hanging out in there. And then he slept in like an adjacent part to the room I was in. He didn't wake me up at all. And my dad came in to wake me up today to help like get the house ready so we could leave. And my buddy just wakes up, stares at him, and goes, "Hey, I probably need to apologize for last night."
Yeah, so in questioning him, the last thing he remembered was hanging outside, getting very wet because it was raining.
It was raining hard.
And then decided I need to get a change of clothes for my car. But that's how he lost his pants.
Yeah.
Because he was currently trying to change in the car. And then he said something made a noise in the driveway, and he was staring down the driveway, and he got scared and went inside, and then that was the last thing he remembers.
Yeah. Everything else was lost to the memory.
But whatever happened, as your dad coined, he transformed into Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, I mean, if you just imagine the person who was only wearing a shirt and no pants with a little bit of gut sticking out, it's Winnie the Pooh.
Pooh Bear.
Pooh Bear. Hopefully we get Pooh Bear on here.
We could.
But, no, it was a fun weekend. Got the boat out. Got to ride around for a bit. And we were going to try and record the podcast over there, but we were just kind of enjoying time instead, you know.
Too much drinking.
And a lot of drinking. So, as is theme of the podcast, we're here to talk about people's crazy dating experiences, and the online dating has really jumped that to a new level. You know, it's quote unquote turn the knob to 11, you know? So, I started putting out on social media, on my own personal social media, for people to talk to me and tell me some of their crazy stories, and the amount of feedback I got was insane. I'm super happy to everyone who talked to me, who contributed to me, who told me anything, because it's your guys' stories that are going to help keep this thing running. And as long as you guys are having a good time listening to it and you're having a fun time like telling your stories to us, please keep it coming, because it has been phenomenal to hear from all of you. So the first one I want to get into, I had to write down this a little bit because it's kind of crazy. So it starts off with, this is from a girl's perspective. She did tell me I could use her name for this, so her name is Amanda. And Amanda messaged me and gave me this super long Snapchat message, and the more and more I kept reading it, the more and more I was like, what the fuck is this? It was absolutely insanity. And I was like, okay, this is definitely going on, definitely using this. I need to call you so I don't misinterpret anything from this. So I spoke to her, and it starts off with her being in a relationship with a guy. And they dated for about 6 months. So they were doing really well. It was great time with each other, from what she told me. And at one point, they considered moving in with each other, but not just here in Cincinnati. They were going to move to Alaska, where his job was moving to.
It's quite a commitment.
Yeah, that's a huge commitment. And so you know, you're thinking it's something pretty real, right? Well, as things goes on, she had to go to Washington, D.C. for, I want to say something school-related, is what she told me. Something to finish up her degree or whatever. And she's going to be in D.C. for a couple weeks. Well, she wasn't even in D.C. that long, and this guy has a mental breakdown and freaks out over everything and says, I can't do this anymore. We're through. And she's thinking, what the fuck? This is really, really out of character, especially after we talked about moving to Alaska with each other. So what happened was she started doing some digging. And not just that, her brother, who was a chemical engineer, and the guy who she's dating was an environmental engineer, her brother wasn't sure about him since the beginning. And he just kind of kept quiet because he noticed Amanda was happy with him and never really thought to intrude. However, she remembers times where she'd be hanging out with the family and she'd bring up his degree or him being good at math or science, and the family would kind of give her some weird glances. And after the breakup, she started like connecting some dots and started figuring some things out. And she did some digging. So she looked up alumni lists during a party from a friend who attended the same college that he did. The guy's picture's not in there at all for any of the years in environmental engineering or any type of engineering. So a couple weeks passed and she was kind of like talking to someone else, and they were hanging out with some mutual friends, and one of them was a friend of her ex. And she kind of asked like, oh, you know, how's he doing? Stuff like that, and was playing it real cool, and then slips the question like, hey, I forget what he got his degree in. I was going to tell my boyfriend about it, and he's like, oh no, he didn't get his degree. He dropped out. And then she learned that for 6 months, this guy straight up lied to her, to her family, to her friends, to everyone about this job in Alaska, about him being a successful environmental engineer, about essentially his entire life. And that was a relationship. That wasn't just like a Tinder date. That was a thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite heavy information for her. But,
that's a lot to take at once, isn't it?
I'm sure a lot of people have heard some type of story similar to that, where someone's been together for months or years, or even an entire marriage of like 30 years. And
yeah, I'm sure.
That their significant other was living an entirely different life from what they were aware of, and just blows your fucking mind.
It's really crazy though that you know those things we think are so out of the ordinary, like they're a once in a million stories, but you know they're quite common. You probably know someone who has had a story like this.
So, did she ever talk to him again? Did she stay at that?
Ooh,
hotel?
I should have asked her that. I'm more than confident she would not.
I would be curious to know if he actually had legitimate plans moving to Alaska for something else.
Yeah, that would be interesting, or if maybe the lie was catching up.
If maybe the whole thing was a sham lie to try to keep them together,
well,
and
it
had some of this hope to go. It
makes you wonder too if the Alaska thing was like kind of like a backdoor stance on trying to get out of the relationship because he might have been realizing he's in too deep.
And then she's like, "Yeah, I'll go."
Yeah,
fuck.
And then he's like,
"Damn,
oh shit, time to pull the crazy card."
Yeah, because well, I mean, if that's the situation, there are some people who have no idea how to end a relationship, right? Like,
oh yeah, no,
they just kind of keep hanging around and hoping that the other person gets annoyed and just says like, this isn't gonna work for me. Like, oh no.
Someone who I know that actually comes to Catskeller, the bar that I work at and that Josh is the manager of.
Just the manager. It's an inside joke.
God, you got me all screwed up now. But anyways, I actually do know a guy who comes in Catskeller, and he says he sucks at breaking up with people, and that he's pulled the crazy card a lot of times and just been like off the wall, batshit gross or crazy insane. I'm like, dude, you might need to see a therapist or something.
Yeah, some people, they just can't deal with confrontation. I don't know what it is.
That bothers me because like, if you're not ever going to deal with confrontation, you're really not going to get far.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, there's actually quite a lot of situations where you don't want to immediately deal with it.
Yeah.
It's something that you kind of say like, all right, there's something fucked here. Let's both think about it, come back, and talk about it.
Well, there's a time and place for everything, right?
Sure,
like, for example, you're not going to talk about some super intimate details of things in the middle of a nightclub, right? Or maybe you do. Maybe that's your thing. But for me personally, like, I wouldn't want to have like some super deep conversation in this really fun environment where I'm just trying to like have a good time with people, get drunk, and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna add on to that, but you're just no, you got it.
Yeah, you were right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a time and place for everything. You say, hey, can we set some time aside in the future to really talk about things? This is something they'll let you know. And honestly, I really think a lot of people forget that it is much better to confess to your lie than for them to find out in a worse way.
I would say most of the time, yeah. It would depend what you're lying about. I mean, it's situational for sure.
Yeah,
But
I would say 99% of the time then.
But I mean, like, if your whole life that you're explaining to somebody is a lie, like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm an environmentalist and we're going to Alaska. If the whole thing's a lie, how do you bring that to light at some point? When
I think
you
at
carried it
some-
on for at least 6 months plus.
I think at some point you just got to break through the wall. Just like take a hammer,
Yeah.
crush through, and be like, okay, I'm about to. You're gonna have a lot of questions here, but just sit down for this.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, it's hard to come clean.
Oh,
truth.
I'm not saying that
it's
if someone was living a lie like that and they wanted to tell the truth or tried to tell the truth, that would be easy. That is definitely not a difficult thing to do when you've been keeping a front like that for so long.
Well, it also comes to why did they lie about it in the first place? So apparently this guy lied from the moment they met.
Well, I'm sure it was to impress her.
And maybe it could be,
To make it seem like he was worthy of her time.
maybe he felt incompetent about who he was and what he was doing to impress her.
Okay, and I actually do have something to say about that. I do think that in today's age, it is very easy for you to feel bad about who you are as a person just because of how easy it is to see all these successful people on social media and Twitter or Instagram.
Yeah. I mean,
It-
success is crammed down your throat.
Yeah, and beauty is crammed down your throat too.
Sure, yeah.
And that's why I can definitely see why he might want to make himself feel like he's worth his time. But the truth is that if you're just yourself, you're making it worth your time for you and for her.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see like maybe why he would do it. I don't condone it, and I don't think it's something anyone should do. But
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, unfortunately for those people, like in this circumstance, that lie about who they are and what they do, but outside of just the base frame of what you do for a living, they still have a normal day-to-day interaction. And for 6 months, that was what she was looking for. So even though he was lying to try to make himself seem impressive to her, he didn't need to, because apparently for 6 months she hung around for just him, unless somehow he fabricated it at every single conversation they had. So unfortunately for that guy, he didn't realize that just him being him was enough.
yeah.
So
that's our first story for today. And honestly, when I first read that, I thought that was insane.
yeah, that's fucking crazy. I mean, of course, I've told my fair share eyes in relationships, which definitely isn't great. Should
Yeah.
never have done.
I know we said we'd never give advice, but don't lie in a relationship.
Yeah, just don't lie.
If you're lying right now in a relationship, change it around. Come on, you still got time.
Yeah.
There was actually this one actually just popped up in my head. I completely forgot about this story that someone told me that actually follows a similar path.
Until now.
Yeah, it was really talking about it in this conversation. And this is from a guy's perspective this time. So a guy was telling this story. And he and his girlfriend have dated for a couple months now, about 8 months. So we're in the same time frame, right? And he was going to school, and she was a nurse at Children's Hospital here in Cincinnati. I don't mind about saying Children's because everyone in Cincinnati knows what Children's is. Hell, it seems like every single nurse that I meet works at Children's.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah,
Most of the
how many
nurses I meet
times?
work for
How many
Children's.
times have you met a nurse here in Cincinnati and you say, "Oh, what hospital do you work?" And you can almost answer with them, Children's.
Yeah, it's children.
It's so true. But anyways, so
Now
she
we
worked.
just pissed off every nurse here who doesn't work for Children's.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But maybe they're not in the dating game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, first off, this person isn't even a nurse at Children's. We'll get to that in a second. That's a spoiler alert. But what happened with this was they were kind of talking, or he was talking to another girl just like as a friend kind of thing. And his girlfriend kind of goes off and says, "Oh, don't talk to her. She's crazy. She's batshit crazy."
To her friends, just giving you the warning.
Yeah. So, well, supposedly these two women don't know each other. The girlfriend and the friend do not know each other, supposedly.
Oh, okay.
Until he comes home one night and sees girlfriend and friend drinking and talking and laughing and having a good time, as if they knew each other the whole time. But keep in mind, the girlfriend said, "Don't talk to her. She's crazy." Well, she leaves, goes to her place, and they start talking, and he's like, "Oh, so how do you know her?" And she goes, "Oh, she's my coworker at Panera." And he's like, "Oh, they like you two used to work together?" And he goes, "No, we came after work today. We came back home." Now, here's how far she went with this lie. She had scrubs, would take an Uber to the hospital so he could come pick her up from the hospital to take her back to her own place.
Wow.
Yeah. That's some effort to put into that.
Wow. In actuality, she worked at Panera.
Yeah, and the whole time she worked at Panera Bread.
Wow.
How do you go? I would get tired of keeping up with that.
Yeah, I mean, you're really going out of your way to. I don't know. I understand that one. I don't know why you would want to say you work for Children's. Like,
And it's
You
not
work
like
for
working
Panera.
at, like, any
we've
sort
all-
of food chain like that is a bad thing.
we all have gone through shitty jobs, or currently have shitty jobs, or in the
Hello.
future will get a shitty job. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do to get by, man. Shitty
Yeah,
jobs there
exactly. And
For just that.
I mean, I wouldn't think that working anywhere like that would be a shitty job even. Like, I don't know. I'd kind of have some fun maybe. Go home with a lot of cinnamon bread.
The thing is about shitty jobs is, for the most part, you make friends with a lot of coworkers because you all like to talk shit about how shitty your job is.
Yeah, there's really this communal bonding thing that goes on with that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a lot harder to have that in corporate settings.
So they had this conversation prior, the girlfriend and her friend, that they don't know each other if dude's around.
Yeah,
And then
I guess. I don't know.
somehow she was like, "Oh no, that bitch cray cray."
Yeah. So I honestly think that the friend did not know that she was lying to her boyfriend.
Ooh, actually. Yeah.
And
Well,
that
yeah,
makes
so-
things really interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder how that whole entire dynamic went down. See, man, I wish Olivia was here for this.
What are you trying to say? That she's in some crazy?
No,
fucking-
I don't know. For you and me, I feel like we're so much in shock right now from this.
Well,
Maybe
I'm sure she
Olivia
would
would know
too.
something
I
to
mean,
bounce
think-
off.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't know.
However,
Or maybe she's dealt with a similar situation. I don't know.
maybe. I mean, I feel like, in general, I want to say that guys lie to girls more often than girls lie to guys.
That's a good question. Maybe.
I'm gonna, if I had a guess in the dark, that's what I would say.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think for the most part, men are the one who start the interactions, or at least, traditional American relationships. That's the guy courts the female, right? So, yeah, probably for sure.
So then, Josh, let me add this to you. The next story I have is actually a date that two guys went on.
Okay.
So if
Was
the
the
reason I
one-
think it's kind of funny is because, like, we're talking about who lies more to who.
Was the one not really gay?
Oh, from what I know, from the story that was told to me, is that the guy who went on the date was bi.
Okay.
And he has slept with women prior, and he tried dating a couple guys, and there was like a kiss here, a kiss there, but it never went anything far. And it's because, and I quote, men are actually trash. Like he even said that he does not like dating dudes because they actually suck.
Yeah, we do suck.
But
if you ever question why you're single as a guy, you're
it's because
trash.
you suck. Yeah,
You suck.
Straight up because you suck. But the reason why I think this is kind of funny, well, why this is like a funny story to tell, is because what happened was they met at a gay bar, and they were talking, having a good time. They didn't do anything physical, but they just were kind of having good chemistry with each other, right? And the guy who told me the story, we'll name him, let's see, random name generator says Alex. So Alex, the guy who is bi, is being hit on by this other guy. We'll call.
Ooh, hold on. So, the random name the random name generator. We should use the Wu-Tang Clan name generator, so people's names can be the Wu-Tang Clan names. Because like, what's that famous musician and actor now? He's in
I got nothing
the
for you.
Community.
Oh, Donald Glover, right?
Donald Glover, yeah. His
Childish Gambino.
Yeah, that's how he got that.
Yeah.
He just put his name in Wu-Tang Clan name generator and got Childish Gambino.
Man, I did not know that actually.
Yeah, that's how that happened. At least
Next
from what I
podcast.
understand.
Next podcast. We'll pull it up on the computer. We'll
Bitch, I
get
get a cell phone.
Well, so
Yeah, continue.
Alex, the guy who is bi, and we'll do Jeremy for the guy who is hitting on him. So this Jeremy guy is, being pretty respectful, not like going in too hard, not acting really gross or weird, which is already super respectable. And Alex says, hey, I just want you to know that I also see women. I am not just gay, I'm bi. And Jeremy goes, that's perfectly fine. I just think you're a really awesome person. I'm attracted to you. I would like to take you out on a date. And he goes, that would be amazing. So they go out to a really, really nice restaurant downtown in Cincinnati. And they start talking a lot. And Jeremy says something along the lines of, so when did you only start seeing men? And he goes, I'm not. I literally just was with a girl last week. And Jeremy kind of looked at him like he had three heads. And he's like, well, why are you still seeing women if you're going on dates with guys? And he's like, first off, I'm bi, so I'm attracted to both. Second off,
Yeah, what a strange thing.
Second off, have you ever tried sleeping with a girl? It's pretty good. He was trying to be a little comical about it. And this Jeremy guy throws a fit, gets angry, and says, I think it's super disrespectful that you even came on this date because, you're seeing women too. And Alex goes, dude, you took me on the date, not the other way around. You asked me to go after I told you that I am bisexual and I like women and men. And the Jeremy guy gets up and Alex says, hey, no, you're going to sit down. You said you're going to take me on this date. You're going to finish this through. We're going to talk about this, see if there's any way of saving even a friendship for us, because I'm done with you for anything more than that.
Ooh, that's aggressive.
And at the end of the day, Alex still got him to pay for the meal.
It's funny, but that's still aggressive.
Well, I mean, honestly, the guy made an ass, and apparently, it was so big of a scene that other tables, were turning and looking at him.
So I wonder, so Alex told Jeremy. Wait, that's what you name? What?
Yeah,
Jeremy?
Alex
Okay.
is the bi one.
Yeah. So Alex told Jeremy before the date, I'm bisexual.
Yeah.
And the guy
he
says,
said,
okay.
Because he said, I don't want to lead
And
you
then
on.
when talking about it on the date, the dude gets super shitty about it.
Yeah. That makes me think that maybe this Jeremy guy was trying to do something more on that night at the club. Like he was trying to go further than the bar, you know?
I mean, that's possible.
Because realistically, like I would probably venture to say 70% of people.
Was this a social dating app date, or was this
From what it sounded like to me, I don't know if they met on social dating apps prior, but even if it wasn't, it kind of sounds like it's something that could happen with anyone who goes to the club and gets hit on.
Well, yeah. I mean,
so I didn't venture far enough out to ask if it was because of Grindr or Tinder or Bumble or etc.
mm-hmm.
But I want to say that this story is one of two people meeting at a bar and flirting with each other. You know?
Yeah.
That's kind of what it sounds like to me the most. Because I feel like if they did meet on a social dating app prior, the date would have happened before the bar scene, potentially.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it can go either way.
Yeah, it can go either way. So,
also,
one night stands at a bar is not a new thing. So.
Also, one thing I wanted to share with you. Remember last episode, we kind of talked about a lumberjack dating website?
Oh, yeah.
I actually found that website.
Oh, shout out.
And I want to read the description for you.
Okay.
Because it really makes me happy. Let me load it up real quick. And I quote, "Everyone knows ladies dig lumberjacks. There are local lumberjacks waiting to mingle. The beauty of lumberjacks is their strong body and attractive look. Who wouldn't want that from a partner? A man who is both aggressive and protective can build me a house, but is soft as a piece of flannel against his skin."
That's it?
No, there's more.
Oh, okay,
I just couldn't keep it together.
Keep going.
That had a beard and could fight a bear. Sign up now at Lumberjack Dating and find the love of your life. A caring and warm partner who is there for you after long hours of work. Create a profile and find your strong love to cherish and come home to. Create a profile and start chatting with your fellow members. Meet the love of your life, your support, your hero. Love is waiting here.
Okay, so first, that sounds like a description of a dude that wants to be a lumberjack. Like that's his bio and his Tinder, like,
I can fight bear. I wear flannel.
But I didn't want to shit on the website for anything because that's your thing. Awesome, someone who has long hair and a beard. I might get referred to a lumberjack.
Little strange in the description.
But they're making a lot of assumptions for the guy.
Yeah.
Or I guess that doesn't have to be a guy. It could be a girl too.
They straight up say a man who is
okay.
aggressive.
So yeah, they make a lot of assumptions. What about those? What are they? Lumberjanes.
Yeah. Quote right here: a man who is both aggressive and protective.
But what about a lumberjane? And what about a guy who has the look?
Holy shit!
Not
Has anyone
well built?
and
maybe, he still does all the lumberjack things.
Has anyone ever coined lumberjang?
Yeah.
I've never heard that. I was like, that's so smart because it's like Jack and
or is
Jill.
it or maybe it's lumberjill.
That makes sense because it'd be Jack and Jill.
Yeah. It's lumberjill.
I feel like it might be a lumberjill. Anyways, if anyone listening to this knows that if it's supposed to be a lumberjane or a lumberjill, or tell us which one you like more.
Or if you use the website.
Yeah. Yeah, if you use the website.
I mean, so like there's a term lumbersexual,
That's a thing?
Yeah. So there's lumbersexuals that maybe you are a lumberjack or maybe you're not a lumberjack, one of the two, but the point is the whole attire, the look, the beard, flannel, taller, wider. It's typically, what these people are looking for, or maybe for the men's perspective, they're looking for a woman that is also in the same attire, or maybe she's hearty, but yeah, lumbersexual, just like they're metrosexual or just whatever. It's just a thing.
And I feel like Honestly, I feel like this lumberjack. I mean, I'm not here to give advice, but I feel like the lumberjack dating site. People think it's a very niche thing, but I feel like it really could just be like people who are into the country lifestyle that might want to date each other.
Well, I would separate the two, lumberjacks and country. I wouldn't.
You would separate them?
Yeah, I would separate them.
Okay.
Which, maybe the makers of the website didn't want to go the whole thing of we're here for lumbersexuals. They're like, we're actually lumberjacks and we're here for fellow lumberjacks.
Okay. Yeah.
Just like
it could be.
Farmers dating.
Farmers only, yeah.
Yeah, farmers
and stuff
only.
like that.
We're actually farmers. Which I'm sure there's also a lot of wannabe farmers in there,
But I think at the end of the day, if you're going to make that many assumptions about it, about the lumberjack male perspective, then I think it's okay to talk about it on here.
Well, again, I don't want to shit talk the website, but
I don't want to shit
there.
talk it either.
You're making a lot of assumptions, website, with your description. Should probably change that.
I actually want someone to please reach out to us who knows anything about being on lumberjackdating.com. Same thing with Christian Mingle and Black People Meet, all this kind of stuff. I would love to hear, because I've never been on those sites, because I only use the main 3 that are ever used. And that's just because it's easy to download and I've heard about them from friends.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, I'm kind of lonely. I'm gonna download this.
Yeah, I'm not into that whole effort thing when it comes to trying to.
Oh man. Yeah. I've got some friends that they get the social dating apps and they really put no effort. They just have it open in their hand as you're out eating or at the bar talking, and they're just doing this as they talk to you, just swiping right, not paying attention, and they just keep swiping until they use all their free swipes.
Oh my god!
And then the next day they'll go through like, oh, what matches do I have?
That aggravates me so much because not only, because probably what they do is if they find someone they don't think is attractive, they just unmatch them.
Yeah,
dude, that sucks.
Or just ignore them.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
But
then you have someone who's like, oh, I accidentally matched. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to swipe that way.
Yeah, and that
does happen.
That does happen, and yeah, it stings, but it stings a little less.
Yeah. That's literally no effort.
I just don't get how I don't know. First off, I think it's rude to be doing that when you're hanging out with your bros, anyways.
Well, I mean, it's that term, you take what you can get, right?
I had a girl tell me a story about a guy that she met on a dating app, and they were going to meet up in person for the first time.
Ooh, I have a story after this that just popped in my head about me.
Keep it strong. Keep it in your head.
Yeah. Just wanted to get it out so I don't lose it.
She went to go meet this guy, and they were going to meet at a bar somewhere around Westchester area, I want to say.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the name of it. But they go to meet there, and she's looking forever. And she's messaging him being like, where are you? And he's like, I'm here. I'm sitting out in the front porch. She goes out, doesn't see him anywhere. And then realizes the guy has kept the same profile picture for 7 years and never changed it. And he looks completely different, different hair color, receding hair, different weight.
So I've got another one as well.
Oh my goodness, this is great.
So I've got two. But continue.
So she's in her head, she has 2 options, right?
Yeah.
Bail, or you're already here, you keep your word, see how it goes. Because they were talking, and conversation went well. And, even though you might look different, conversation is kind of hard to falsify. Yeah. Even though we just heard 2 stories about conversation being entirely falsified for multiple months.
Yeah.
So they sit down and talk, but this guy barely made eye contact because the whole time they were on this date, he's swiping on other people on social dating apps.
Oh no!
Just in front of her.
Bitch, you think they're the only one I'm going to date with?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. And
which also, that's a fair point if you're meeting someone on a social dating app,
Yeah.
you should absolutely assume you're not the only one they're currently going on dating.
And if you don't
dates
want to
with.
assume that, you should ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting transparency is great. Getting everything out there, having everything in front of you so that there is nothing to hide is great.
I mean, dating's a numbers game.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with it, but if it bothers you, you should talk about it. But
Yeah.
anyways, continue.
But so this guy pretty much catfished her. This guy has been incredibly rude, and she ended up having to pay for most of the stuff, most of the drinks, if not all, because the guy couldn't even afford his own drink. So he went out with this girl just to essentially get free drinks that she didn't even want to pay for.
Yeah.
And he said, like, oh, I hope to talk to you later. And she's like, no, we're not talking later.
Fuck you, buddy.
It's over. Like, this sucked. She straight up told him this sucked.
Man.
God,
I mean, like there's people who go on dates and are like they're on their phone doing other things as you're talking to her, which is rude.
I know people who,
You know.
well, okay, it's rude. However, I do know people because, unfortunately, because of online dating too, some very unfortunate things have happened to people.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's certain circumstances
Where you
you're
message
talking
your
to a
friend saying,
or
like, I'm
family.
okay.
Yeah, like I understand all that.
I
But
got
there's-
here safe. I'm okay.
But I mean, I'm talking about like people are just like, oh, I'm just gonna scroll Facebook as we're hanging out on this date. Like, fuck that.
However, the exception is if you're scrolling through Facebook and you're like, let me show you this meme real quick.
Oh yeah, dude, memes are always welcome.
If you want to get the guy or girl you're seeing to like you more, memes.
Well, so now I have 3 stories.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if we're going to have enough time today.
Yeah, we're fine. We still have 20-ish minutes.
Hey, whatever we don't tell today, we got for the future, right?
This is true.
All right.
There's a lot of stories.
So most of the time I tell stories, I actually tell Josh earlier because I have a very loud mouth.
I will say, personal stories about you, yes, but these that you get from other people,
I've
no.
given you
which,
like synopsises.
which I prefer to keep that way because I like having that first raw reaction to come out for the podcast. So,
all right. Now I haven't heard any of the. Josh doesn't say shit.
yeah, I mean,
He's a very quiet man, honestly.
for me, like I'm a very open and trustworthy person. Well, maybe not trustworthy for some people.
I think you are.
But
I'd
open.
give it to you.
I'll just say it, for open. So I will tell you anything about me. Unfortunately, you have to ask. I'm not just going to tell you.
Yeah.
So which is why you don't hear shit. So, story 1. This is a. Ooh, was this Tinder or Bumble? This might have been a Bumble date. I think this was a Bumble date.
Doesn't really matter.
So actually, I meet this girl. We on Bumble, and we go on. We go on like 3 dates, and they were all pretty good dates. We enjoyed each other's company. We kept setting another date to go do something, and
Cool.
so I think after the 3rd date, we kind of joked about hooking up and whatnot, but skip all the bullshit into the night. We're back at my place, and we're gonna hook up.
Doing the dirty.
So we go through everything, all the foreplay and whatnot, and then go down to having sex. We use protection. I use a condom. We do our thing, and
Good on you. Good on you.
Yeah, I try. Of course, there's moments that, but
Good on you, though.
so-
Having it on you, being prepared. Good little Boy Scout.
Yeah. So, So, to the end of the sexual experience, she's got hers. She's done. I haven't quite finished. And we're both laying there. So I pull off the condom, and I'm going to finish myself off.
Yeah.
She's mutual to it, and but she thought something else was happening. She thought I was going to take the condom off and then have sex with her again.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Because so I'm pulling the condom off, and she's like, "Oh no, please don't. I have herpes." And
Oh.
Yeah. So you can only think about how I felt in that moment.
No.
Because we went on multiple dates and we talked about sexual experiences and all this stuff, and that never came up. Not once.
Oh my God. What the shit, Lana?
Yeah. So I don't finish through some exchanges. She takes her stuff and goes. I never talked to her again, which I told her this is never happening again. So then I have to go schedule an appointment, get checked out, which, by the way, if you do not have health insurance, a full screen STD test
it's not
is
cheap.
expensive. So, but to be fair, you should always get checked if you question,
Yeah.
So I got checked and I was in the clear.
Yeah.
But they also say you should check again because sometimes the tests.
Sometimes I know it can be dormant with some STDs,
Yeah.
and it won't.
Well, especially herpes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why, to my understanding, herpes is extremely hard to cure because how it goes dormant. But yeah, so time goes on, almost a year. I do it again, still in the clear. So I dodged a bullet. Fortunately, maybe it was up to
Someone's
the
looking out
condom
for you,
that
man.
helped. Well, maybe it's the condom that helped, or maybe she just, she was in a stage of dormancy. Regardless of what it was.
Another lesson.
Shit.
Another lesson on being prepared.
Yeah, I mean, first off,
What kills me is she didn't ask you if you had a condom before you guys knew you were going to do it because she had
No.
herpes.
So we had this pre-discussion of sexual things, and we
Yeah,
both
so you
talked
knew you
about,
two were going to bang.
No, it ended up that way.
Okay,
we
okay.
talked about sexual experiences and things, and we both had the exact same agreement of like, oh no, if hookups are to happen, always a condom.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
So there was no pre-discussion that we were going to hook up. It just ended up that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, firstly, if you have an STD and you have a potential partner, please
Tell them. Oh
it is
my
important
goodness.
because there's two things. One, if the person really likes you, they'll stick around to work with it. And if they don't, well,
That's not really someone you should be talking to then.
right. Because you having that, not only they have to trust you, but you have to trust them. So
Yeah.
I understand there's a massive
it's a
stigma.
two-way. It's a two-way road, and I even say this with communication because the amount of times I've talked to a girl, and the reason we quit talking is just because I didn't they expected me to continue a conversation on to the next day.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Man, I really like talking to you. I wish you would have responded." I'm like, "Then why didn't you talk to me?" It's a two-way street. I get it that a lot of women like men to be the ones who put the initiative forward and take the step. But in today's day and age, I'm not a mind reader. I can't tell if you like me. If I'm getting cold-shouldered and you're trying to get this chase thing going, man, I might get bored and just give up.
Oh, well, yeah, I agree. Constant updates about the situation. But
it goes back to transparency.
The point is, yes, there's a massive stigma behind STDs. But again, as anyone will tell you, it doesn't mean it doesn't make any less of you.
Yeah.
It's just an important subject that you need to make apparent to a potential partner.
Yeah.
So please,
without a doubt.
Please, if you have anything and you have a potential partner, talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if women are going to say height matters, or men are going to say size matters, anything like that.
Yeah.
STDs and any sort of infectious or viral activity like that should definitely be discussed way before it gets to the bedroom.
Boy, it is. Yeah.
That's crazy to me that it's while the action is going on, she decided to drop that bomb.
Well,
on
I mean,
you.
for her, the action's ended. It's just for me, I'm about to get mine. I'm going to finish. But to her, she thought oh, we're raw dogging it now.
That's stained. Oh my
Ooh.
god. And that's the thing. Yes, having a condom does help prevent that, but it's not a 100% cure.
It helps prevent, but it's not what you should rely on.
No.
The thing you should rely on is a pre-discussion.
Yes.
Because things like herpes,
So-
there's medication that can help you. It doesn't make you 100% not transferable, but again, discussions first.
So here's my question to you. If that discussion were to have happened and you would have learned that she did have herpes, would you still have slept with her that night?
No.
No?
But it wouldn't have meant that I would have stopped going on dates with her because they were going well.
Yeah.
The
So,
dates we were making.
Maybe in the long run, something could have happened.
Maybe, because the thing is, so I had a discussion with someone who was a physician that had a lot of friends in the medical field, and she said that basically there's a large amount of people that end up acquiring herpes. I think the statistics like 1 in 5 have herpes
It's something
now,
pretty
like that.
high, yeah. And I think it's actually even higher for
And,
chlamydia.
Yeah,
I think
but
it's like
the
1 in
difference
4.
is-
Yeah, chlamydia is very easy to cure.
Yeah.
But I think 1 in 3 people in their life. I don't
So-
want to spit out wrong data. We'll
Yes.
look it up and discuss it next
Sure.
time.
So
Actually, people probably don't want to hear about
Yeah.
STDs all the
But
time.
so the thing is, she was talking about how her other friends in the medical field that deal with this type of thing, there's a large amount of them apparently that just give zero shits if you have herpes. They're just like, oh, well, take this medication and that's it. Because on a health standpoint, herpes doesn't really hurt you. It makes you susceptible to other illnesses. Like it makes you more susceptible to HIV, or something else to contract because it weakens the immune system. But as it is, it doesn't hurt you. So a lot of physicians are like, I don't fucking care.
Really?
They don't treat it like they would chlamydia, because you can die from chlamydia.
Yeah.
You can die from gonorrhea. Those things can kill you.
But herpes kind of like a gateway to other sort of bad things that could happen.
It's something that can make you more susceptible to other illness or disease.
Okay.
But it in itself doesn't hurt you. It's uncomfortable, but it doesn't.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is.
So I had to go through this whole spiel when I was getting tested and all that.
Dude, I'm blessed because I've been checked like a couple times. Not by like I had to get checked. I checked because like I noticed I was kind of sleeping around a lot, and I thought I probably should make sure.
Yeah, but that's a very respectable thing. You should absolutely, if you're having promiscuous sex on a consistent basis.
Yeah, if you're being
absolutely get
polyamorous, definitely do it.
checked.
And
Absolutely.
I thankfully have never come up positive on anything, so I'm very, very thankful for that. But
Yeah, I mean,
so I've never had to experience. There is one time I've had to experience the threat of something might have happened, but I never got symptoms. I was clean after I got checked for it, and the partners that I had since got checked as well because I told them, and they all got checked and they were fine.
Yeah.
So I got super lucky. Not really even super lucky because we'll get into this story another time, but we think this girl was lying about her having chlamydia and just wanted to like screw us all over.
Okay. Sure.
But
So, story two.
as he holds up the 3 fingers to me.
Because I can count. Never said I was smart. So this is going on people who have old profile pictures.
Ooh,
So-
le catfish.
This is a story of my very, very first internet dating app. And it was OkCupid.
Was Pangea still a thing at the time? I just
Was what?
wanna- Was Pangea still a continent when
Oh,
this was going on?
God, not that old. But, yeah. So, my very first internet dating experience. So, I meet this girl on OkCupid, and
Okay, shut up. You're old already.
we talk for probably a few weeks before we go on our first date, and it's all great. Now, to set the thing here, she had old profile pictures, which at the time I didn't know were old. Okay, however, there was something in our conversation that should have told me they were old. Okay,
So to add to that real quick, something I noticed just the other day that on Tinder they actually added a thing where you can see when people put up newer pictures of
Yep.
themselves.
Yep.
I don't know how long that's been going on. I might just be out of the loop, but I think that's a really cool thing because then you can actually see like what pictures are more recent of these people,
Sure.
and it actually shows you who's still like using Tinder.
Yeah, I mean, there's people like me who have my photos are very sparse in between because I just don't like taking pictures of myself or really like pictures taken of me. So there's some okay pictures that other people took and maybe one okay one that I force myself to take of myself. But
Gotcha.
point is, so this girl, she was attractive, but she had old pictures. Now, here's the thing that should have told me they were old pictures. So this isn't necessarily her fault. I'll give her the pass on this because she never directly said these photos do not represent what she looks like right now. Okay, but so we had this conversation about each other, and she had talked about how she contracted meningitis. And
Okay.
yeah, so she had meningitis that sit in her brain for, I don't remember the exact number, but I think it was about approximately 7 years before it was determined that she had meningitis in her brain.
Wow.
So it had caused damage, and she had talked about how she can't do certain physical things.
Dude, now I'm
because of,
sad.
Yeah, it's terrible sad, And for me, I'm all totally okay with it, Like,
Yeah,
it's very
you're
unfortunate.
still having great
And
conversation with her.
Yeah, so I'm still gung-ho to go on this first date. But I didn't really think about what that meant for her on a physical level and an emotional level.
Yeah.
So
yeah, holy shit, yeah.
going to meet this girl on a date,
Uh-huh.
it looks like someone entirely different.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, I'm sure.
A, she's a much different size, which for me doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Because I will go with you if you're a very large girl or a very thin girl, because the personality to me actually speaks a lot, and
It's the same thing for me.
You know.
It's honestly that transparency.
it's hard to have a good conversation. So good conversations are fucking great for me.
Yeah, I mean, like some people, the looks is a top priority, and I feel like to everyone, there's some sort of attraction that does need to be there.
Well, yeah, I mean,
But-
for me, there has to be some certain level of attraction about your face, right? Because it's
Yeah.
the first thing you notice.
Yeah.
So, of course, if I going on a date with you, I find you attractive. No matter what your size is, there's something about you I find attractive. You know?
Mhm.
But yeah, so this girl, much different than what she was in her picture.
But we're not in like a deal breaker scenario right now
Not quite
because
yet,
of
no.
talking.
Sure, absolutely. Like,
Okay.
okay, so she had old photos. I should have connected the two dots that she's going to look much different. Better or worse, whatever it is. So then we go on this date. And now we go to a restaurant, and it was like I was of someone, again, entirely different.
Wait,
So-
just talking to them too?
Just talking to this person in this date. So first, she's like really aggressive with the staff about how her food should be.
Oh.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, I mean, there's people who are very particular about how their food should be, but she's like very aggressive. With
So
how-
here's the thing about Josh and myself. We are the kind of people that will eat whatever you put in front of us.
I mean, if you can eat it, I'm gonna eat it.
What
So,
was the quote from this weekend? Everything's edible at least once, right?
Yeah. At least once. So yeah, that was the first really big red flag.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, all right, I'm just going to chop it that, maybe this damage has affected her, emotions, and she gets a little
Yeah.
triggered.
Yeah, a little testy.
Yeah. So, we sit down, and then we are eating our food and talking to each other, and then not to say that anything was necessarily wrong that she had done, but the conversation literally was nothing like what we had. When we were talking just on the app, it was like a good friend, and we could talk about a lot of things. In person, it was like I was talking to someone who was like a super narcissist, that we're only talking about things on her end, and very, very super opinionated about things versus having being very open and optimistic as it was on a dating app.
Yeah, and that's something I've noticed going on dates a lot as well, is that there are people who can talk to you over messaging in a completely different way than when they talk in person.
Yeah.
And I even have dated people who they don't want to talk to you in person, when they want to talk about something serious because they freeze. Because that sort of confrontation, that sort of personal connection is too real for them to get the important stuff out there too. And they can only talk to you through text. And I think that is such an important thing to be able to do in person and over text.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so we finished our date, and she told me, she was like, I really enjoyed this date. I hope we go on another one. And then I told her, I was like, well, we'll talk about it, you know, in the future. But I enjoyed my time. Thanks. And then we talked one additional time, which was, I think, a few days later.
Did you tell her, like...
We weren't talking, like, a day-to-day
yeah,
basis. It was, you know,
but did you... So the second time you talked, did you tell her how you felt about the date? And
yeah, so she was immediately talking about, like, how she wanted to go to this next date. And I said, I'm going to be honest, and this is from my standpoint of I kind of messed up, or I didn't necessarily gauge the situation correctly.
Uh-huh.
So not that... And again, not that she misled me, but I believe I misled myself on the state of this person. So, but she seemed to be understandable. At least I hope so.
Thankful.
You know?
That is a very thankful thing to have happen for you, because things like that can get ugly very quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope it continued to just be okay with her. I hope it didn't bother her by any means, you know, because I felt real bad that if it was like, fuck, I really didn't think about this all the way. You know, I didn't think about what that would do to someone.
Yeah.
You know, so outside of like the immediate first seeing her, like, oh, very much this affected her physically, but then talking to her clearly, this, or maybe it didn't affect her emotionally. Maybe she was given this front of something else in conversation through the app, but it wasn't the person. Meeting her in person was not the same person I was talking to.
I understand that for sure.
You know, it's unfortunate. So I did have a third story, but we will hold that off for another podcast.
We'll discuss that another time. We're pretty close to time right now. We can see it's starting to get dark, and we just don't want to make these things too lengthy. You know, we want to.
I mean, I'm sure there'll be a few episodes we'll go, you know, for a while. I'm sure we may even have an episode or two that could go for a couple hours, depending on the situation. But ideally, we're looking at around an hour.
So to also give the listeners a little something to know, we have created an online presence. We currently have a Facebook page, a Twitter, and an email. And an email.
We haven't got Instagram yet, but
the email will be coming out soon, because the website should be coming up within the next month or so, hopefully. I would say month would be the long term, 2 weeks would be the short term. And we're going to have an email tied to that so that people can directly email us anything they want to hear, any thoughts or criticisms. We want to hear from everyone.
Yep. There's also a YouTube channel that you can listen to these podcasts if you're not already currently listening to
More than likely, you're probably already listening to this on YouTube.
Most likely.
But
yeah,
all you have to do is look up the Right Swipe Podcast on any of those forms of social media, be it YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. Please, please, please talk to us through there. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to hear from everyone. And the more you guys contribute to us, the more we can continue to make content like this. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. I'm having a blast doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we continue to have a large amount of content in the future, you know, we could potentially make these podcasts longer. But for now, an hour, it's pretty good.
The dream is to make them longer, get video in, and at some point do a live episode.
I think the dream would be like a lot of podcasts where you actually do the podcast live, period, stream to the internet. But a physical live podcast would also
that would be so much fun. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, because then it had a physical crowd with interaction, like share your stories. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so in the future we're looking to stream it live. But for now, this is what we get. The next step, we'll try to have some video.
So keep an eye for updates in the future. We will try and keep in contact with you guys. Please reach out to us. We love hearing from you. It has been a very heartwarming experience to hear from everyone who has reached out and messaged me through Snapchat, through Instagram, through Facebook, through my even personal contacts. You guys have been awesome. It is great to hear from you guys. and I really hope that we can hear from you guys within the next couple weeks. Be ready for us to drop another episode with Olivia again.
Yeah, I would say, as it stands, we're looking to do this on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
At the minimum, bi-weekly. But there may even be a few times where we have a couple episodes released in the same week, depending on the situation. Might have some special guests that we can only talk to for this day.
Yep.
If they want to be on, we'll bring them on, but we'll still do our scheduled episodes. So.
But we plan on having Olivia back this week, and we hope you guys enjoy it. We hope you guys reach out to us. We want to hear from you, and we hope that you guys enjoyed this as much as we did.
Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you the next episode.